And we get a pretty wicked fight scene, and we get to see Moon Knight in all of his glory. Hey guys, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMXND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today I will be reviewing Moon Knight, episode 3. Now, we left off episode 2, gorgeous Oscar Isaac as Marc Spector this time is in Egypt. We see him looking out this window. We see the pyramids. He's in Egypt. So now he's getting closer to figuring out what Arthur Harrow is going to do, what his plan is. And honestly, in this third episode, this is where the action picks up, both for Marc Spector as a mercenary and then as Moon Knight, which I really appreciated. So this episode gave me like the beginning of the Mummy vibes and like Indiana Jones trying to figure out where Amit's tomb is, where Arthur Harrow's going to end up, and if he's going to find Amit's tomb. It's basically like a race against time. Who's going to get there first? Is it going to be Mark and Layla because they're together right now? Or is it going to be Arthur and his goons basically getting to the tomb before they do? So I thought it was really interesting. Again, the pacing is probably the best aspect of this series, and I love every single episode. Why episode 3 really worked for me is that there was a balance of trying to figure out what's happening in Mark's mind and what's happening with Steven. There's like a lot of mirroring action in this particular episode where Mark is talking to Steven while he's also talking to Layla, and Layla's helping Mark kind of piece everything together, or, you know, trying to really figure out what he actually remembers. And I think that they do dive into his disorder a bit more in this case to understand what points he does black out and what points he does remember. So whether it's good times or bad times, he does remember in fragments. And I think that Layla kind of brings that out in Mark, and I really like that. Again, Steven's in the mirror everywhere, in the rearview mirror, in the side mirror. He is everywhere for Mark right now, but Mark is the muscle. Basically, he needs to be a mercenary in this particular case in order to get the coordinates, in order to get the map and understand the hieroglyphics, understand the messaging. He needs to be able to take these people down, whoever gets in his way, in order to find this location so Arthur Harrow doesn't get it first for Amit's tomb. So I thought that was really cool. I liked Layla and Mark's dynamic. I thought that, you know, you could feel that they were in a relationship for a very long period of time, that they understand each other with their flaws and all. So I like their chemistry. It's not the greatest, but it still works for what it was. There's still that level of comfort, even though they've been through so much, and you could feel the weight of their relationship. So I like that as well. Layla goes to visit an old friend in this episode with Marc Spector. I absolutely loved the scene where Layla is kind of like distracting her friends with all the guards, and Mark is in this like little pyramid where there's a sarcophagus and there's little hidden messaging in the hieroglyphs. There's like a possible map that they need to find, and he's talking to Steven because it's mirrored up in the pyramid, at the top of the pyramid. So you get to see Mark working with Steven, and Steven really trying to understand Mark and his mentality and what he's trying to do, especially finding out what the link to Khonshu even is. So I think Steven is slowly understanding Mark and what he's doing with Khonshu and doing with Layla in this case. So I think them talking to each other and working together is something that everyone would really want to see. This is the perfect episode to do that because it's a connective episode to the second half of this season. So I think it really worked in that case. Right after this, you get the genius of Steven helping Mark, which is always a good thing. But then we get a pretty wicked fight scene, and we get to see Moon Knight in all of his glory, in, you know, dodging bullets and reflecting bullets and flying and swinging. And you kind of get to see like what the cape does, what his little crescent moon blades do. You know, it's very vivid. I think it's the most, like, apart from Daredevil and Punisher and those shows, out of the MCU, shows. I think that the action and the fight choreography is a bit more brutal than we're used to normally seeing. So I really like that entire power set. I like seeing him in action. The suit, I will always say, is the most glorious thing ever, and I absolutely love it so much. So they actually retrieve this map with the hieroglyphics, and they end up going to this cave where it was like a meeting of the avatars of the gods. And I thought that was really cool. So you get a bit more history of what the avatars do in relation to the other gods and who Khonshu is within the realm of these gods and what he stands for, what he's done to the rest of these gods. So you get a bit more of the tea. We get some tea. And I thought that was really, really fun to get to know these other gods and their avatars. I think that that's something that they can dive into in, a future Marvel movie or in season 2, but I'm happy that they kind of touched that. But what was really cool, again, like Oscar Isaac, man, just every single episode, Oscar Isaac just puts on a clinic and continues to surprise all of us. It's fantastic work from him. So in this very moment when Khonshu it feels like a trial, but it's not a trial. They're just kind of like talking to him. Khonshu speaks through Mark Spector, and it's a very different voice. He has to deliver Khonshu's lines, and his physicality has to change. And it's just really weird because obviously his body doesn't match Khonshu's voice, but Oscar Isaac has to act like Mark Spector and then deliver like Khonshu. So I thought that was a bit challenging for him, but obviously he nailed it. So that was really cool. And then we find out that Arthur Harrow is there. And because he was the former avatar of Khonshu, I feel like he's had something kind of against him this whole time. And we understand his plan a bit more. So it's all about trying to find Amit's tomb. I thought that whole trial scene was really cool. We got to see a bit more of Marc and Steven in this episode, their tandem, how they work together. So all in all, I thought that episode 3 had great pacing as per usual, great special effects work with the suit for Moon Knight. And I love the action sequences in this particular episode. It keeps getting better. We're going to see more and more of them. It gives me Mummy vibes, Indiana Jones vibes. And that's a good thing because it's different than what we normally see with the MCU. And I like that. So heading into episode 4, all I'm going to say is that you guys are not ready for episode 4. I was absolutely blown away because I have avoided the trailers. Please avoid all of the promos going into episode 4 because I was pleasantly surprised with how well they executed this episode. And I really love the horror elements that they presented in episode 4. So I'm really excited for you guys to watch episode 4. Let me know how you guys feel about episode 3. If you're loving the underworld and if you're loving the mythology in this season, because I'm really enjoying it and I just want to see more and more of this. And I hope that Marvel listens to us and we get some more Moon Knight. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.